to include Special Agents Patty Thompson, Zach Hughes, and Rick Taveras, and John Vecchio. Earlier today, FDLE agents arrested Temple Terrace Community Development Director Amir Anisi on charges of bid tampering and unlawful compensation. Anisi was arrested without incident as he arrived to work. We began our investigation last August at the request of Mayor Ross after the city received a complaint about the hiring of an unlicensed contractor to complete renovations of a racquetball court at the Family Recreation Complex. In his role as Community Development's Director, Anisi oversaw planning and development, building and zoning for Temple Terrace. As such, he was aware of the bids coming into the city for various projects. Our investigation shows that Anisi influenced a competitive solicitation for concrete work on the racquetball court project by providing non-public information to one vendor. Anisi informed the vendor, a friend of his, the estimated price range the city was considering for the concrete work. With this information, his friend submitted his bid under that estimate, ensuring that his company would win the bid. Anisi also hired this same vendor for a concrete project at his residence where he expected a reduction in price for the work completed at his home. Regardless of project costs, it is always in the best interest of taxpayers and public trust to have a fair and transparent bidding process. Public servants with privileged information must go above and beyond to ensure impartiality. Most importantly, public servants must always remember who they serve. Those who serve themselves must be held accountable. Finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize our partners in this investigation. After learning of the complaint, Mayor Ross immediately contacted FDLE and asked us to investigate. Thank you, Mayor Ross, for putting your trust in us. Also, I very much appreciate the work of our agents and analysts who worked diligently to uncover this crime, as it was not immediately identifiable, but discovered through extensive review of records and interviews, a crime. Our agents work closely with Hillsborough State Attorney Andrew Warren and his prosecutors. We appreciate your dedication to this investigation. At this time, I'll turn it over to Hillsborough State Attorney Andrew Warren for a few words. Thank you.
Thank you. Afternoon, everyone. Let me thank Mayor Ross for his role in this, and thank Special Agent Bruttnell and his team at FDLE for always being such incredible partners with our office. I want to acknowledge Assistant State Attorney Michael Lennon, who's the chief of our office's economic crime unit, for his work in this investigation. At its core, our democracy is based on trust between the government and its people. So when somebody chips away at that trust, we have to step up and set things right. The evidence shows that two laws were violated here. One, Mr. Anisi gave an unlicensed contractor inside information about a city project, and that information led the unlicensed contractor to bid less than licensed contractor and kept the licensed contractor from being able to have a fair shot at winning the job. And two, Anisi sought a personal benefit for this. After helping the unlicensed contractor get the project, he wanted a discount on the work that the contractor had done at Anisi's home. Both of these crimes are felonies, and the evidence shows that this wasn't just a case of a city employee wanting to help the city save money. This is a city employee tainting the fairness of the process and wanting to get something in return for his position and authority. That is corruption. Now, we recognize that this case is not the fraud of the century. The dollar values here are not astronomical, and with no criminal history, the defendant will likely not even have a prison recommendation according to the state guidelines. Still, it's important for the community that we file these charges. Whether it's $100 or $100 million, this type of corruption is a violation of public trust. And as Tampa Bay continues to grow and thrive, it's important that the public has trust that the government is working on behalf of the people, fairly, honestly, and openly. Thank you.
Mayor Ross, can you say a few words?
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First, I'd like to thank the special agents and analysts of the Florida Department of Law Enforcement and the prosecutors from the State Attorney's Office for their thorough and meticulous investigation of this matter. While I'm obviously very disappointed in the actions of Mr. Anisi, I'd like to quickly point out that these are the actions of one employee. The City of Temple Terrace has hundreds of employees who serve the public with honor and integrity day in and day out. The actions of one individual do not diminish the culture of excellence that our employees are known for. I'd also like to assure the residents of our city and those who do business with our city that Temple Terrace will not tolerate this kind of behavior. When we received the original complaint in this matter back in August, I immediately asked FDLE to open an investigation into this matter and get to the bottom of it. I'd like to assure everybody that myself and all the members of the Temple Terrace City Council are committed to the highest standards of integrity, and we will continue to demand transparency and excellence from our staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Our investigation is active, so we may not be able to answer every question you have, but I'm happy to take some questions with the mayor and Mr. Warren here if you have some for us.
The initial complaint implicated City Manager Charles Stevenson, and I actually reached out to him for comment. He asked me to ask, is he cleared in this case? Is Charles Stevenson cleared in this case?
Charles Stevenson is not a, per se, target of our probe of this case.
Do you expect any other arrests stemming from this investigation?
At this point, I would say no. We're here to talk about Mr. Anisi and what he was charged with today.
And this may be for the mayor or investigators. As you looked at this case, were the checks in place to stop something like this? And if so, what was missed? How did somebody get away with something which seems like, again, Mr. Warren says $16,000, a relatively small crime, but still, he was able to do this and almost got away with it, or could have gotten away with it without the anonymous tip. Are the safeguards in place?
Well, I think there are, and I think there's two factors here. There's also administrative issues that the city of Temple Terrace will have to deal with, and the mayor's committed to doing that. But also, I think if you look at the evidence that we have, Mr. Anisi was involved in a lot of the different aspects of it, so he was the center point. So yeah, he had his hands in a lot of that stuff, but to the mayor's point, they were very transparent with us, gave us everything we needed. They were on board from the minute we took this case over from them.
The only other question that I had was, we've talked about the legal ramifications of this, but just having an unlicensed contractor doing city work, I don't know if this is something the mayor would want to address. I imagine that's not allowed, that there are rules against that in city code. Can you just talk about that, what the potential dangers could have been in having an unlicensed contractor do work for the public and then access this racquetball court?
Sure, well, thank you. All of these are very good questions. And let me start by saying internally, administratively, there are things that we will review to make sure that we do have proper policies and procedures in place to prevent this type of thing from happening again. Certain oversights, maybe the division of certain roles to kind of take somebody out of being able to control the whole process. But for obvious reasons, any administrative inquiries or reviews of policies and so forth have to take the back seat to the criminal investigation, which has been underway. So our city council will need to decide moving forward what steps, if any, we need to take to prevent this from happening again, but I assure you that we will do that. And I'm sure I speak for all members of the city council when I reiterate again that we just simply won't tolerate this. And this is not how Temple Terrace does business. And we will do whatever we need to do to ensure that this kind of thing doesn't happen again.
Any more questions?
I'm sorry if I missed this one, Ernie, but how much was the bid that the unlicensed contractor made?
I believe it was 18,000.
18,000.
Yes, ma'am.
And how much was the discount that Mr. Anisi asked for?
6,000. How much?
It's non-specific.
Non-specific. Yeah. Any other questions? Appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.